Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Thursday, August 27th, 2020. I have to start today's show with what went on in the sports world yesterday, in particular the NBA and the WNBA. The two leagues canceled their games yesterday, and the NBA so far did so for today, but not so sure about the WNBA yet, due to the unfortunate shooting of Jacob Blake. I briefly discussed on yesterday's show how the Celtics and the Raptors were planning to boycott their Game 1 that was supposed to be today, but out of nowhere, the Milwaukee Bucks did not show up to the court for their Game 5 against the Orlando Magic, and it came to the league by surprise. But the weird thing was that the Bucks, a Bucks player said that they were not thinking about boycotting. They obviously had lied to the media, and then the league wound up postponing all the games in result of it. They had a meeting at the bubble at 8 o'clock. Woj said that the emotions were raw and players were ready to, already worn out of the bubble environment. And one of the veteran players in the league said that the season was in jeopardy, but that was last night. But now it looks like they're going to resume play tomorrow, which is very good for the league. You knew the league wasn't going to cancel. I'm sorry. No way. They would have had a huge financial issue, and it would have opened up a Pandora's box of ramifications if they were to stop the season. And it would have affected next season. There could have been a lockout and all that. And it, quite frankly, wouldn't have had to do with the coronavirus, which is even crazier. But COVID's a separate issue, and the league is still unsure of when they're going to begin the next season due to COVID, and whether they'll start in a bubble or in their home arenas. And they'll obviously have to monitor how baseball finishes and how the NFL goes as well. But that's a different issue. So the special Board of Governors meeting was held this morning, and this morning there was optimism about the players electing to resume the season. But in last night's meeting, the Clippers and the Lakers voted on perhaps not continuing the season, and LeBron stormed out of the meeting. But then this morning there was more optimism, and maybe LeBron just was having a rough night last night, and then he decided, you know what, this would really hurt my reputation if I just quit. So obviously they had the meeting this morning, and there were some optimism, and now the NBA players have decided to resume the playoffs. Today's game's postponed. And then there's going to be another meeting later on with 2 players per team. And the resumption of playoff games could come as soon as Friday, but there is expected to be a return to the season by the weekend. So it could be tomorrow. It could be Saturday. It could be Sunday. My prediction is that ultimately they'll be back tomorrow. So, and there's also a meeting of NBA owners and players set for later today, which was reported by Tim McMahon of ESPN as well. So, if we do have basketball tomorrow, we'll obviously pick all the games and whatnot. And this little 2-day layoff actually could be positives for teams that are getting star players back from injury, like Russell Westbrook, Kristaps Porzingis, and Luka Doncic. And there's another player that's not healthy right now. Oh, Gary Harris of Denver, but he's been bad this season. So I really wouldn't count him as a quote-unquote impact guy like Porzingis and Doncic, who are not healthy. And obviously Russell Westbrook from the Rockets. So the 2-day layoff is going to benefit some of these teams perhaps in the postseason if those teams wind up coming back and playing well with their guys that they're getting back from injury. And then the WNBA canceled yesterday. No word on yet for today. Baseball, 3 games were postponed yesterday. Obviously, the Brewers and the Reds, that made sense because Milwaukee obviously the Brewers taking after the Bucks a little bit, because that's so close to home. So I guess those 2 teams are playing a doubleheader today or at some point. Giants-Dodgers doubleheader today, and then Mariners-Padres doubleheader today. So there's going to be a lot of doubleheaders today in Major League Baseball. And then, meanwhile, hockey continued with its play yesterday, and they had moments of silences prior to the Lightning Bruins game and the Stars Colorado game. So 2 moments of silences in the National Hockey League. And there was some talk that the Islanders were not going to play their game today, but Barry Trotz seems to think that they will, but he doesn't blame his players if they don't play, I guess. But he understands the situation if some of his players choose not to play. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Islanders and the Flyers do, and then the Canucks and the Golden Knights. So once we get to the hockey games, we'll go over and preview those games and assume that they're going to go on as scheduled. Zdeno Chara came out and said after the game that they didn't know that the NBA did what they did until right before their game started. So the NHL guys were a little bit late on that news. Baseball obviously saw it and they took after it a little bit. So those teams that didn't play yesterday in baseball are going to be playing doubleheaders today or at some other points during the rest of the season. Alrighty, so now we'll move on to actual sports. The NHL, we discussed a little bit that what they did last night, but they actually played a couple games. Flyers over the Islanders 4-3 in overtime on a goal by Philip Myers to even up the series at 1 apiece. The number 3 started the game with the goal, Anthony Beauvillier. Number 2 started the game with the goal, Phil Myers. And number 1 started the game with 2 goals, Kevin Hayes. Lightning over the Bruins 7-1 to take a 2-1 series lead. Impressive win for Tampa Bay. Obviously, the loss of Tuukka Rask for Boston came back to bite them in this game. The number 3 started the game with a goal and 2 assists, Mikhail Sergachev. Number 2 started the game with 2 goals and assists, Alex Killorn. And the number 1 started the game with a goal and 3 assists, Nikita Kucherov. Avalanche over the Stars 6-4 to take to get on the board in the series. Big win for the Avalanche. This could be a turning point for them potentially. They had the lead 3-1 after 2, and then Dallas scores 3 straight goals, and then Colorado scores 3 straight goals. So this was a very entertaining game. Colorado gets on the board in the series. Big time win for them. The number 3 star of the game with a goal and assist, Nikita Zadorov. The number 2 star of the game with a goal and assist, Mikko Rantanen. Number 1 star of the game with 3 assists, Cale Makar. Today's games, let's just assume they play. Barry Trotz made it seem like he thinks that they're going to play. 7 o'clock, the Flyers and the Islanders. This is going to be an interesting game. Carter Hart has looked human in the series thus far. The Islanders were absolutely relentless yesterday, even though they had lost the game against the Flyers. But coming back from 3-0 down to force overtime, good job on them. So, in terms of a pick for the game, I am going to go with the Flyers. They're short underdogs, -103. Isles are -113 favorites. I had the Flyers in 6. I think yesterday was a big day for them. I think this game will be competitive again. Won't be surprised if the Islanders win, but I'm going to say that Philly gets it done tonight against the Islanders, and that's assuming if they play. 9:45, you have the Golden Knights against the Canucks. The Canucks with an impressive Game 2 victory the other night. Vegas is a huge -200 favorite. Canucks are +170. I saw some flaws with the Golden Knights the other day against the Canucks. The Canucks have a lot of speed. They have a lot of youth. They're athletic. And the Canucks really showed me something in that Game 2 victory the other day. But I'm going to take Vegas to bounce back here. Do I feel good about it? No. But I think that this will be an overtime game. I'm going to say this is a 4-3 Golden Knights overtime win. And let's say that Alex Tuch gets the game-winning goal for the Vegas Golden Knights. So give me the Golden Knights tonight against the Vancouver Canucks to take a 2-1 series lead. Now we'll move on to Major League Baseball. They played last night the majority of their games. We'll go over them and then look ahead to today's super-duper busy slate with a bunch of doubleheaders. White Sox over the Pirates 10-3. So no letdown for the White Sox after Lucas Giolito's no-hitter. White Sox 19-12, Pirates 7-19. Dallas Keuchel win, he's 5-2. Trevor Williams lost 1-5. Home runs: Edwin Encarnacion, Jose Abreu, and Danny Mendick. Oh, and Eric Gonzalez of Pittsburgh. I missed that one. Keuchel 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, ERA 2.7. That was a quality outing for him. Trevor Williams 6 innings, 9 hits, 8 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, ERA 5.34. His worst start of the season. Braves over the Yankees 5-1 in Game 1 of the doubleheader. Braves are 17-12, Yankees 16-10. Ian Anderson gets his first big league win. Garrett Cole, his first loss as a Yankee, he drops to 4-1. Home runs: Ronald Acuna, Dansby Swanson, Marcell Ozuna, and Luke Voit. Ian Anderson 6 innings, a hit and a run, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, ERA 1.5. His one bad pitch was the homer to Luke Voit. Garrett Cole 5 innings, 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, ERA 3.51. The strikeouts were there, but couldn't avoid the long ball. Gave up 3 of them in that game. Phils over the Nationals 3-2. Big win for the Phillies. They're 12-14. Washington 11-17. Aaron Nola to win 3-2. Will Harris still also in 1. Brandon Workman gets a second save as a Philly. Juan Soto and Rhys Hoskins homered. Aaron Nola was good. 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, ERA of 3. Patrick Corbin 6 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, ERA 3.82. Blue Jays over the Red Sox 9-1. The Blue Jays are playing very well. They're 15-14. Boston's 10-21. Getting the win for Toronto, Sean Yamaguchi. He's 1-2. Colton Brewer the loss. He's 0-2. Home runs: Randall Grichuk, Rowdy Tellez, Mitch Moreland, Rowdy Tellez again. Getting the start for Toronto was Julian Merriweather. 2 innings, a hit, no runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts, ERA of 0. Colton Brewer, 3 2/3, 5 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, ERA of 4.57. Rays over the Orioles 4-3. Big win for Tampa Bay. They're 21-11. So them and the Yankees are right now tied in the loss column, but Tampa just played more games due to the Yankees hiatus due to the Mets COVID situation. Baltimore 14-16, getting the win for Tampa. Ryan Sheriff, he's 1-0. Michael Givens lost 0-1. Diego Castillo gets his first save of the season. Home runs, Brandon Lau and Michael Perez. Trevor Richards got the start, 4 1/3, 6 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, ERA 4.71. Trevor Richards should be in their rotation going forward as the guy that just steps up and gives them good starts. He should be their Ross Stripling, like how Ross Stripling's used for the Dodgers, is like either the long man out of the bullpen or just use him as a starter. And then starting for Baltimore was Asher Wojciechowski, 4 innings, 3 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, ERA 5.13. Braves over the Yankees 2-1 in Game 2 of the doubleheader. Braves 18-12, Yankees 16-11. Max Fried the win, he's 5-0. He's been brilliant. Chad Green the loss, 2-1. Mark Melanson gets his 5th save of the year. The go-ahead home run in this game was in the bottom of the 6th, hit off the bat of Freddie Freeman. Max Fried, 6 innings, 4 hits, and a run, a walk, 5 strikeouts, ERA 1.35. He was so good. Masahiro Tanaka was really good as well. 5 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts, ERA 3.48. It's just that Tanaka didn't get run support, and Chad Green had a bad game coming out of the bullpen. His probably worst game of the year thus far because his ERA is 1.98. Indians over the Twins 6-3. Indians 19-12. Minnesota 20-12. So the Indians and the Twins are tied in the loss column right now. Getting the win for Cleveland, Phil Maton 2-0. Sergio Romo the loss 0-1. Brad Hand gets his 9th save of the season. Max Kepler hit a home run, so did Jose Ramirez. Mike Clevenger started for Cleveland. Quality outing, 6 innings, 8 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 6 strikeouts, ERA 3.18. Jose Barrios, 5 2/3, 7 hits, 3 runs, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts, ERA 4.75. Tigers over the Cubs 7-6. The Tigers are 13-16. The Cubs are 18-12. Joe Jimenez the win, 1-1. And getting the loss, Ryan Tepera 0-1. So the Cubs have been regressing a little bit since their hot start to the season. Kyle Schwarber homered for them. That was the only homer in this game. Getting the start for Detroit was Michael Fulmer. 3 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, and a strikeout, ERA 8.79. John Lester pitched well. 5 innings, 8 hits, and a run, a walk, 5 strikeouts, ERA 4.55. He was better than he's been in his last couple, but the bullpen imploded for the Chicago Cubs. Mets over the Marlins 5-4. A big and much needed win for the New York Mets. They're 13-16. Miami 14-12. Brad Brock the win. He's 1-0 as a Met. Nick Vincent the loss, 1-2. Home runs, Michael Conforto, Brandon Nimmo, and that's it. Jacob deGrom started, 7 innings, 2 hits, and a run, 2 walks, and 14 strikeouts, ERA 1.8. I don't see how he doesn't three-peat at this point. Unless if Trevor Bauer continues to pitch this well. But the issue is that the Reds aren't very good. Maybe they trade Trevor Bauer and he gets traded to the American League as a rental or something. And we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. Alicia Hernandez, 4 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, a walk, 7 strikeouts, ERA 3.04. Athletics over the Rangers 3-1. Bays are 22-10. They're the best team in the AL thus far, in my opinion. It's between them and Tampa Bay, in my opinion, actually. But I would give an edge to Oakland as of right now. Texas is 11-19. Mike Fiers the win, he's 4-1. Colby Allard the loss, 0-3. Liam Hendricks gets his 10th save of the season. Mike Fiers 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, ERA 4.86. He's been pitching better. Colby Allard 5 1/3, a hit, 2 runs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, ERA 6.5. Cardinals over the Royals 6-5. This was a crazy game. This game was 3-2 Royals going into the 9th inning. I'll explain later. Cardinals 11-9, and the Royals 12-19. Alex Reyes gets the win 1-0, and Randy Rosario the loss 0-1. So the Cardinals go up. The Royals go up 5-1. Then the Cardinals score 4 in the bottom of the 9th to walk off. So that was a big win for the Cardinals against Mike Matheny. So home runs in this game. The catcher for the Royals, Cam Gallagher. And the other home run for KC was a pinch hit, Ryan McBroom. And then the bottom of the ninth, actually top of the ninth, 2-run double with Merrifield leading 5-2, and then bottom of the ninth. So the Royals were up 5-2, yes. So hit by pitch, Yadi Molina with the bases loaded 5-3. 2-run single, Tyler O'Neill 5-5, and then a bases loaded walk, Colton Wong, and then the Cardinals get the big win. Dakota Hudson, 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, rate 3.32. He was good. Jacob Junis, 3 2/3, 4 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 6 strikeouts, rate 4.26. Rockies over the Diamondbacks 8-7. The Rockies are 16-15. Arizona loses their, I want to say this was their 9th straight loss. They're 13-19. They might be a seller. John Gray the win 2-3. Robbie Ray the loss 1-4. Jeff Hoffman gets his first save of the season. Home runs in this game: Sam Hilliard, Charlie Blackmon, a grand slam. Charlie Blackmon, by the way, should be a candidate for National League MVP. He's been really good this year. I don't know if he'll win because the Rockies are mediocre, but he should be in the conversation. John Gray, 6 innings, 3 hits, and a run, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, ERA 5.45. Good bounce back start for him. Robbie Ray, 4 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 6 walks, 8 strikeouts, ERA 7.84. Astros-Angels was postponed yesterday due to Hurricane Laura. Makeup date September 5th. The games that were postponed due to the Jacob Blake situation: Reds-Brewers, Mariners-Padres, and Dodgers-Giants. Those 3 games will be made up today. And now today's slate. 3 o'clock doubleheader, game 1, Mariners-Padres, Yusei Kikuchi, Danielson, Lamet. Kikuchi 0-2 with a 6.3 ERA, whip of 1.4. Lamet 2-1, 1.89 ERA, whip of 0.84. 3:15 Pirates-Cardinals, doubleheader, game 1. This was a COVID makeup game for the Cards. Chad Cole against Kwang Hyun Kim. Cole 1-1, 2.84 ERA, whip of 1. Kim 1-0, 1.69 ERA, whip of 1.03. 4 o'clock doubleheader, game 1, Dodgers-Giants. Clayton Kershaw and Kevin Gausman. Obviously, my best bet of yesterday was the over in this game, but ultimately that game wound up getting postponed. So my best bet was like an asterisk, I'd say. An asterisk DNH did not happen. And I put an asterisk by that date, obviously, when I keep track of best bets, because that would mean that it didn't happen because it got canceled for whatever reason. In this case, it was because of the Jacob Blake situation. Kershaw 3-1 to 2.25 ERA, whip of 0.79. Kevin Gausman 1-1 to 4.65 ERA, whip of 1.29. 5 o'clock doubleheader, game 1, Reds-Brewers, Sonny Gray and Andrew Hauser. Gray 4-1 to 2.21 ERA, whip of 0.98. Hauser 1-2 with a 3.72 ERA, whip of 1.24. 6 o'clock of the Rockies and the Diamondbacks. Kyle Freeland and Zach Gallen. Freeland 2-1 to 2.87 ERA, whip of 1.12. Gallen, no decisions, 2.25 ERA, whip of 1.06. That is a really nice pitching matchup there. And Arizona absolutely needs this win if they want to avoid being a seller. Doubleheader game 2, Mariners-Padres. We don't know who's going for Seattle, and Garrett Richards is going for the Pods. Richards 1-1 to 3.52 ERA, whip of 1.37. 6:30 on Fox, the A's and the Rangers. Chris Bassett and Jordan Lyles. Bassett 2-1 to 2.97 ERA, whip of 1.08. Lyles 1-3, 9.25 ERA, whip of 1.89. Oakland's minus 200 in this game, which is crazy. But at the same time, it's not crazy because Jordan Lyles has been terrible this season for the Texas Rangers. So I'm probably going to bet on the A's to win, but not at minus 195. But it's a national game. Give a straight-up pick. I'm going with the A's. Chris Bassett's been awesome this season. So give me the A's. Red Sox, Blue Jays, Chris Mazza and Hyunjin Ryu. Mazza 0-1 to 6.35 ERA, whip of 2.12. Ryu 2-1 to 3.19 ERA, whip of 1.03. Another Fox game, Phillies Nationals. That's probably the game that we're going to be getting here in the New York area because it's the NL East and Philadelphia's very close by, and yes, it is. Spencer Howard and Max Scherzer. Howard 0-1 with a 6.17 ERA, whip of 2.06. Scherzer 2-1 to 4.31 ERA, whip of 1.4. Scherzer's been mediocre this season, but I think that he will come out and pitch very well. He's going to be motivated because he's facing Bryce Harper. So I'm going to go with the Nats at home here against the Phillies. The Nationals need these games. Oh, so do the Phils, but I think the Nationals are more desperate here. 640 to Orioles and the Rays. John Means and Ryan Yarbrough. Both pitchers are 0-2. Means 10.13 ERA, whip of 1.31. Yarbrough 4.45 ERA, whip of 1.32. 7 o'clock, doubleheader game 2, Dodgers-Giants. We don't know who's going for the Dodgers. Logan Webb's going for San Francisco. Webb 2-2 with a 3.29 ERA, whip of 1.35. Twins-Tigers. Randy Dobnak and Matt Boyd. Dobnak 5-1 to 1.78 ERA, whip of 1.02. Boyd 0-4 with an 8.48 ERA, whip of 1.74. Marlins-Mets. Sixto Sanchez, and we don't know who's going for the Mets. Sixto Sanchez 1-0 with a 5.4 ERA, whip of 1.2. Doubleheader game 2, Reds-Brewers. Wade Miley and Josh Lindblom. Miley 0-3 to 9.72 ERA, whip of 2.4. Lindblom 1-1 to 6.65 ERA, whip of 1.57. And that's it for the baseball slate today. Now we'll look at the current leaderboard at the BMW Championship. It's going to be an interesting tournament this weekend, to say the least. Got some big names in there. First place right now with 3 under, Brian Harmon. Second place with 2 under, Brendan Steele. Tied for third with 1 under, Adam Hadwin, Henry Higgs, Alex Noren, Tony Finau, Ryan Palmer, Adam Long, Justin Thomas, and Bubba Watson. Tied for 11th at even, Cam Smith, Kevin Streelman, Joaquin Neiman, Sanjay M, Kevin Na, Scotty Scheffler, Sebastian Munoz, Mark Leishman, and Lanto Griffin. Tigers teeing off at 114, so he's even right now. He just started. Tied for 20th with 1 over, Patrick Reed, John Rahm, Daniel Berger, Dustin Johnson, and Billy Horschel. And in 25th with 2 over, Ryan Werenski. Still yet to tee off, Matt Fitzpatrick, Paul Casey, Justin Kokrak, JT Potson, Gary Woodland, Danny Lee, Mackenzie Hughes, Tyler Duncan, Patrick Cantlay, Max Hubbard, Brendan Todd, Cameron Champ, Victor Hovland, Xander Schauffele, Rory McIlroy, 2 o'clock hour, Abraham Ancer, Bryson DeChambeau, Harry English, Colin Morikawa, Hideki Matsuyama, Taylor Gooch, Jason Day, Adam Landry, Lewis Olson, and that's it. We're obviously going to have an update on tomorrow's show as well. Before I do Best Bet, I want to talk about the Major League Baseball trade deadline and moves that teams have already made. Today, we saw the Blue Jays acquiring Tajon Walker from the Seattle Mariners for a player to be named later. And then they acquired Daniel Vogelbach from the Seattle Mariners for a player to be named later as well, after Vogelbach was designated for assignment. I think those are 2 great moves by the Toronto Blue Jays. Credit to them. They're going for it in a short season. They're over 500. There are some teams in the American League that obviously we thought would be a little better that are worse, like the Rangers. So, and then obviously the Red Sox too. I thought that the Red Sox were going to be bad, but I didn't think they were going to be like worst record in the American League type of bad. So, credit to the Blue Jays for going for it. Some of their guys have been promising. Nate Pearson was promising before his injury. You had Hyunjin Ryu sign in the offseason. He's been pretty good after a slow start. Bo Bichette's on the injured list. That really sucks for the Blue Jays. Hopefully they get him back soon. Vlad Guerrero Jr. So this is a nice, young, promising team. I think the Blue Jays should go for bullpen help next. And, hey, maybe you're talking yourselves into a surprise contender here in the American League. So, that's nice to see that a team that wasn't supposed to be that good going for it. And I applaud their front office for it. So, good job on the Toronto Blue Jays. I talked about on the show briefly on Monday that the Philadelphia Phillies acquired Heath Henry and Brandon Workman from the Red Sox for a pitching prospect, and Nick Pivetta. Maybe Nick Pivetta, with the change of scenery, can benefit in Boston. So this was an interesting trade. I think the Phillies knew that they had to go for it. There's pressure on that team. They have not been to the postseason since 2011. Bryce Harper's there. JT Realmuto's in a contract year. They signed Zach Wheeler in the offseason. They have Aaron Nola, who is the ace of their staff. So credit for them for going out to address their big weakness, that is their bullpen. Maybe they make one more bullpen acquisition. So that is going to be very interesting. And then David Hale was acquired from the Yankees to Philadelphia, because I think the Yankees are setting themselves up for a I don't want to say a blockbuster trade, but a trade that's going to help them by turning away David Hale. And that's what I think that signaled, for me at least. Because David Hale's been a quality reliever for them the last couple years. He just wasn't that good this year. And then they flipped him to Philadelphia. Maybe they're going to go and get a bullpen arm. So you never know. So the other prospect going back to Boston to deal was right-handed pitcher Connor Siebold, who was like their 23rd ranked prospect on MLB.com. So good on Philadelphia for addressing their weakness. They have 3 bullpen arms, and I think that they could add one more bullpen arm. I think that they could use some help in the back end of their rotation. And I think they're set offensively. Rhys Hoskins has been very good. Bryce Harper's been solid. So it's going to be interesting to see what else they do. I'm just going to go division by division. We're starting in the National League East because I talked about Philadelphia. Washington, if they lose this Philly series, they can potentially flip into a seller. Maybe Starlin Castro can be traded. Maybe Howie Kendrick. I don't think they'll trade any big names like Max Scherzer or anybody like that. But Scherzer, is he in a contract year? I think next year's his contract year, not this year. So, I don't know if they'll trade Scherzer because they love him there. So I would cross that off as a possibility. I think there's a chance that Castro and Howie Kendrick go, but that's it. But if they play well against Philly this weekend, then I can see them being a buyer and adding to their bullpen and adding to their lineup. And if Philly, and vice versa, if Philly completely collapses over the next couple of days, I could see a world where they flip Brandon Workman and Heath Hembree again to another contender, which would be very weird. You saw the Twins do that a couple years ago, that they acquired Jaime Garcia at the deadline, and then they played poorly, and then they flipped Jaime Garcia, I believe, to the Yankees in 2017. Although the Twins wound up making the postseason that year. That's because the American League was very weak that year. The Angels underachieved, and the Rays underachieved in 2017. There's a bunch of teams that underachieved that year, which opened up the opportunity for Minnesota to sneak in as that last wild card that season. So, yeah, maybe Philadelphia does that if they don't do well against the Nats this weekend. The Mets, I think, could be in trouble. No Jacob deGrom against the Yankees this weekend. If they lose this Yankee series coming up, I think they could pivot to a seller. Maybe Brad Brock can get them something. They're not going to trade deGrom. No way. So I'd cross off that idea. Maybe Frank Porcello pitches well against the Yankees. They can get something for him. Michael Wacha has yet to pitch a game for the Mets, and I thought he was going to be a good contributor to them this year. So I think the Mets have some opportunities, but if they do well against the Yankees, then they can be a buyer, and then they can go out and get like a starter, like a Dylan Bundy type of guy, or a Kevin Gossman to help their rotation. We'll get to San Francisco in a second, though. Miami has been a pleasant surprise this year. Maybe they're like Toronto and they decide to go for it. That'd be a fun story. But I think they're going to stand pat, if you ask me. Although if they're a seller, maybe they trade some of the veterans they have, like Jonathan VR and people like that. But if they go for it, then I would try to improve their offense because I like their starting pitching. It's a little better than giving credit for. And I do think that there's a chance they acquire a pitcher, and obviously their bullpen I think would need help as well. I don't think the Marlins will be a buyer. I think, if anything, maybe they'll sell some veterans, but more likely than not, I think they stand pat. The Braves, I think they're under pressure to make a move for a starting pitcher. Out of the NL teams, I think they're the team under the most pressure to make a move for their starting pitching. They lost Mike Soroka for the season, so if I'm them, I would go out and get a rental. I mean, Ty-John Walker would have been great in Atlanta. I think they missed the boat on that one a little bit. But there's other guys, Dylan Bundy, Kevin Gausman, although Gausman was with the Braves, I believe it was last year or the year before, but really wasn't much. Ironically, Julio Teheran, I think, could be available. That'd be weird if they went out and got Kevin Gausman or Teheran, because that would mean like when their former guys would be back in the rotation. That'd be kind of a fun subplot. I think Bundy would be a great fit in Atlanta. I think the Braves can use another bullpen piece, and I think their offense is pretty set with all their players back from injuries. Let's flip to the AL East. We talked about the Blue Jays. The Yankees are the team in the American League I think is under the most pressure to get a starting pitcher, although that was the case last year, and guess what happened last year? They did not do that. And ultimately came back to bite him in the ALCS. Granted, the Astros were cheating. The Yankees, like the guys I mentioned for Atlanta, I think are in play for them. I didn't love the idea of Ty-John Walker with the Yankees. I think that would have been a possible flop, and I don't think that he really would have helped them. I think Ty-John Walker's better suited for a bigger ballpark, but I don't know how he would do in Toronto. I think he'll help Toronto. I think he's better than a lot of guys they have, but we'll see about that. I just think Atlanta missed the boat on Ty-John Walker because I think Ty-John Walker would have pitched very well in Atlanta. He's suited for a bigger ballpark. If the Rangers fall out of it, maybe the Yankees look at Lance Lynn as an option. Lance Lynn has been very good the last 2 years. He was not good with the Yankees when he came over at the deadline. Granted, there was some bad luck in there. So maybe they give Lance Lynn a second chance. I think the Yankees are looking to upgrade over the J. Happ spot. And J. Happ, obviously, at the time, there was a good trade for them, and he really helped them in the 2018 stretch run. But they signed him as a free agent. He's been not living up to that contract, although he pitched it well at the end of last year, but he stunk in the playoffs. He stunk most of the regular season last year, and he's been really bad this season as well, except a couple starts against the Red Sox. And let's face it, the Red Sox stink this year. So, there's some pressure on the Yankees, and obviously James Paxton being injured, I think, is a big deal as well. Maybe they're the team that goes out and just flat out goes for it and acquires Trevor Bauer from the Reds, which would be amazing. A top two of Garrett Cole and Trevor Bauer. But Trevor Bauer and Garrett Cole don't like each other because of the Astros-Indians stuff from a couple years ago. But maybe that's more of Trevor Bauer hating on the Astros more so than Garrett Cole, because Garrett Cole is not on the 2017 team, although, like I said, the cheating was with their offense, not their pitching. So, I understand Trevor Bauer's hate towards those Astros teams. So that would be an interesting pickup for the Yanks. Dylan Bundy, I think, has had a career year this year. Him at the back end of the rotation, I think, would be a good upgrade over J. Happ. Kevin Gausman, I wouldn't like that addition. I think he stinks. I just think that he's benefiting from a bigger ballpark in San Francisco. Dylan Bundy would be a good add. Ty-John Walker, if I had the power rank Dylan Bundy, Ty-John Walker, and Kevin Gausman, those three, it's the order I just said. Dylan Bundy 1, Ty-John Walker 2, and Kevin Gausman 3. I don't think Kevin Gausman in New York would be good at all. I think that he would benefit in a bigger ballpark. Like he and Atlanta. I think Atlanta would be a good fit for him. I think that there's a couple other teams that I'm going to get into a couple minutes that would fit him well. But yeah, Yankees to me, I think should upgrade that back end of the starting rotation. Maybe they get James Paxton back, and then they would have a formidable rotation if they get an arm. Let's say it's Garrett Cole. Maybe they go out and get Dylan Bundy for the back end. Masahiro Tanaka in the 2 spot. James Paxton comes back. He's your 3. Jordan Montgomery in the 4, and then Dylan Bundy. Dylan Bundy would be an upgrade over J Happ in my mind. The Rays. I think the Rays should go for it too. I've been clamoring for them to go out and get a bat. Like a big bat. They have the assets to do it. But if they bring up Wander Franco, and that can change everything. Maybe they can get that bat and call up Wander Franco. Then they become, to me, the team to beat in perhaps the American League if they do that. And I think that they could use some bullpen reinforcements as well. Some of their guys, I think, are a little overrated, like Diego Castillo. And there's some other guys in their bullpen I think are a little overrated. I've seen blow some big games against the Yankees and some other good teams in the past. The Astros at the playoffs last year, too. So, yeah, I think Tampa Bay should go out and acquire some bullpen help and some offense help. I think they're set with their rotation. Although the Charlie Morton injury is a big deal, I think that Trevor Richards should be in their rotation, as I said earlier in the show. The Orioles have been a pleasant surprise this year. Granted, they're under 500. But if I'm Baltimore, then I would stand pat like the Miami Marlins have. The Boston Red Sox are sellers, obviously. They traded away the relievers, Heath Henry and Brandon Workman, the Philly. I think Jackie Bradley Jr. can be had. I think Andrew Benintendi can be had. My buddy Terry Cushman is saying that. They said that no one's untouchable, which is crazy. I think that would be a huge deal if they traded away one of their big names like Devers or Bogarts or J.D. Martinez, but I don't think they'll do so. Maybe in the offseason, because I think that's a candidate to go full-blown rebuild. And that's crazy considering that they won the World Series in 2018. Granted, there was some cheating involved there as well. And speaking of the Red Sox, quickly, the Sox have strongly considered not playing tonight's game against the Blue Jays to protest against social injustice. The teams are currently talking and have offered one other support regardless of whether they decide to play or not. So a little breaking news there in the middle of a trade deadline, trade deadline segment. The AL Central, I'm just going to go quick here. Indians, they should be a buyer. They're playing really well. There's talks about them trading Mike Clevenger. But here's my point. Aren't you trying to win? I know they traded Trevor Bauer last year, but they were under 500 at that point last year. And then they wound up playing very well at the end of the last year to make it interesting. But we'll see what they do. I would buy if I'm them. And I think they could use some bullpen help, and I think that they can use another bat. White Sox, I think they're under a lot of pressure to do something at the deadline. Starting pitching, they're a candidate for me for Dylan Bundy or Gossman or one of those types of guys. The Tigers, I think, will be a seller. They got off to a surprisingly good start to the season. I think they'll ultimately be a seller. I think that catcher Austin Romine could potentially be had. I think that some of the other veterans that they have, too, C.J. Cron, Jonathan Scope, I think those guys are available. Obviously, Matt Boyd's available. Michael Fulmer, I think, could be had, too, but I don't think they'll trade him yet. I think they want to get some value with him and then try to trade him in the offseason. The Minnesota Twins are obviously going to be a buyer. They, to me, have to improve their bullpen and maybe get some rotation help, although their starting pitching's been a little better than I expected it to be this season. But to me, they need some bullpen help for sure. The Royals are going to be a seller. Trevor Rosenthal is the best reliever available right now, I think, and whomever gets him, I think, is getting a game changer. I think him on the White Sox would be interesting. I think the Yankees would be interesting for him, assuming that if Zach Britton takes a while to get back off the injured list, they don't have Tommy Kahnle for the rest of the season. I could see them going to get Trevor Rosenthal. That'd be funny if the Cardinals reacquired him. The Cubs can use him. There's a lot of guys that can use Trevor Rosenthal. I think that's going to be the hot reliever on the market. He's pitched in a ton of big games before in the postseason. And good on him for rebuilding his value and reminding people that he's still a darn good pitcher. The AL West, the Angels are going to be a seller. No, they're not trading Mike Trout. No, they're not trading Shohei Ohtani. But they'll probably trade some veterans. Obviously, I mentioned Dylan Bundy a bunch of times on the show already. Maybe David Fletcher. Maybe Brian Goodwin. Maybe Julio Teheran. Maybe a couple of their bullpen arms. Astros, I think, are under pressure to get a starting pitcher. I think that they're a candidate for Gausman or Bundy. The Oakland Athletics, to me, are in a very good position. If they need any help, maybe get one more bat at a spot where you could use it. Maybe like a DH type, maybe like a bench kind of guy. I think that they can use some help in the back of their rotation with the injury to A.J. Puke. And then, obviously, bullpen, I think they can use an arm as well. But they, to me, look like the team that beat in the American League right now with all the Yankee injuries and the Rays not having Charlie Morton. The Mariners are sellers. They already traded away Daniel Vogelback and Taijuan Walker. I think other veterans on that team can be had as well. The Texas Rangers, I think, are going to be a seller. Mike Minor has ruined his value. He's been terrible this season. Jordan Lyles, I don't think, is getting traded. Kyle Gibson's been okay. I think there's a chance he's a goner. I think that Lance Lynn will be dealt. I think the Yankees are a good fit. I think Atlanta would be a good fit for Lance Lynn. I think the White Sox would be a good fit for Lance Lynn. I think the Twins would be a good fit for Lance Lynn. But yeah, Lance Lynn, I think the Rangers will get something for. Todd Frazier, I don't think they'll trade. I think they're going to keep him for now. Because I do think they want to keep some pieces so they can try again next year. But I think Lance Lynn goes. He has the most value on that roster right now. Other than Joey Gallo, obviously, but they're not trading Joey Gallo. The National League Central. The Chicago Cubs, I think, have been better than everybody expected them to be. They should absolutely be a buyer. Find them. I try to get a rotation piece. Jose Quintana is now in their bullpen, which is crazy. So their rotation right now is John Lester, Kyle Hendricks, Yu Darvish, Alec Mills, and Tyler Chatwood. They need to upgrade that Tyler Chatwood spot. He is worse than Jay Happ from the Yankees. Like, I've been talking about how the Yankees have to upgrade the Jay Happ spot. The Cubs have to upgrade the Tyler Chatwood spot. And any of those guys I mentioned would be great in Cubby Blue. Lance Lynn, Dylan Bundy, Gausman maybe. I don't know if he would thrive. There'd be too much pressure for him on the Cubs. That's why I don't see him fitting well on the Yankees either, or if the Dodgers would require a pitcher as well. Cardinals, I think, should be a buyer. Bullpen, I think, is their biggest need. I mentioned the idea of Trevor Rosenthal could potentially go back there. We'll see about that. The Brewers should be a seller. No, they're not trading Yelich. Josh Hader, I think, is in play to be the surprise name moved. We'll see about that. I should do a trade deadline predictions podcast. Maybe tonight or tomorrow I'll drop it. But yeah, Josh Hader. I'm interested to see if they decide to move him. He could really bring a lot back for them and rebuild their farm system, like with the Yankees did a few years back with Andrew Miller and Aroldis Chapman. The Cincinnati Reds, I think, have been the most disappointing team in baseball this season. I think they'll be a seller. No, they're not trading the guys they signed in the offseason. I don't think they'll trade Sonny Gray, because I think they're going to be like Texas and try again next year. But I think Trevor Bauer can be on the move because he's been awesome this season. He's looked like the Trevor Bauer of old. He's having arguably the best year of his career. I think he'd fit on any of the teams they mentioned that needed started pitching. I think his best fit's Atlanta. I think Atlanta can give up a nice haul for Cincinnati for him. Although I think the Yankees would be awesome for him. I think that the Twins could use him. The White Sox. I think that the Dodgers potentially are in play with the Walker Buehler injury. So that's going to be an interesting subplot, the Trevor Bauer situation in Cincinnati. And then the Pirates are the worst team in the league. They're going to be a seller. I think they'll still have some veterans. I don't know if Trevor Williams will get him back anything. Maybe their closer, Keone Kela, will get them something. He's very good. They have some other relievers that I think could be had. Derek Holland could be had. So I think Pittsburgh could be selling. And I don't know about their offensive players. I think I know they want to keep some guys around like Kevin Newman who they like. Maybe Gregory Polanco's dealt. Who knows? I don't see Josh Bell being moved. Maybe. But nobody's mentioned his name. I think he's an off-season guy, not a July 31st guy like Matt Boyd of the Tigers or Michael Fulmer of the Tigers. Now to the NL West, last but not least, the Dodgers are a buyer. We know that. They go for it every year. I think they need bullpen help. That's, I think, the best fit for Trevor Rosenthal, the Dodgers. They need another guy to go with Kenley Jansen, who has really declined over the past couple of years, although he's pitched well thus far this season. But they need some bullpen help. They have some guys that have pitched well but tend to flop in the playoffs, like Pedro Baez and people like that. And they have some good young arms in their farm system too that have come up and done well. Brusdar Gatorol, who they got in the Maeda deal, has been very good for the Dodgers, coming out of the bullpen as like a long man. But I think they're going to bank on some of those young guys to step up for them throughout the season. Although I do think that they'll make some moves. Maybe Trevor Rosenthal, maybe Derek Holland or somebody like that is like a veteran that can come in and help them. I think they're set offensively. The Giants are the 8th seed right now, which is incredible. I think that I think they're like the Phillies and the Nats, like we're going to see. And the Mets are in that category too. And there's a couple other teams in the National League that are like that are facing some big games coming up. And if they decide to buy, it has to be their rotation in my mind. Their rotation's not very good. And their offense. There's some guys that I think could very well see being traded there. And there's talks about the Giants being a buyer due to their surprisingly good play, kind of like last year, but we'll see. And if they sell, I think it's going to be Kevin Gossman, maybe Johnny Cueto. So I think they're a wait-and-see team. Padres should be a buyer. They've been very good. They need a closer. That's another Trevor Rosenthal team with Kirby Yates possibly getting Tommy John surgery. They need another bullpen arm, although I think the bullpen is still solid without Yates, but they can use an arm to replace Yates for the next year or so, or really for this season, and they sign somebody in free agency. So I think the Padres are going to make a move for a reliever. I think that they can use another bat. I think their rotation's pretty good, so I think the Padres are set up to do some good things here. The Colorado Rockies, I think, have played themselves in the buyer status. But to me, they're another team that they're like a bad weekend away from being a seller. So to me, they're a TBD team. Maybe they upgrade the back end of that rotation. Maybe they're a surprise acquisition for Dylan Bundy or whomever. Wouldn't that be awesome if they went out and got Lance Lynn or Trevor Bauer? That would be really cool if the Rockies did that. That would really shake up things in baseball. And in Arizona, last but not least, they're, I think, going to be a seller. They were playing well like last weekend, but they've really have been struggling. 2 weeks ago they were playing well. Now last week, and they're currently on a 9-game losing streak. But maybe they're a hot weekend away from being a buyer, but right now it looks like that they're going to be a seller. Robbie Ray could be on the move, but he's not going to get them much. He's been terrible this season. You have some other guys that I think could be had. Archie Bradley, I think, can get them a haul from a team that needs a reliever. Maybe, I don't think they'll trade with the Padres or the Dodgers, but that would be interesting if they did, because those teams need relievers. Maybe that's a guy the Yankees look at, Archie Bradley. So Arizona, I think, has a lot in play for them as well. And that's it for the trade deadline talks. Some breaking news before I do best bet. The NHL's postponed their games today. I just got a text from a friend. We'll see how long this hiatus goes. That's not that surprising. The Hockey Diversity Alliance has requested to suspend all hockey playoff games for today. We'll see what else comes out of this. Chris Mannix tweeted that that the Mavericks Clippers has postponed Game 6. So that was supposed to be tonight. Mavs Clippers Game 6 was supposed to be tonight because yesterday was supposed to be the Lakers and all that. So we knew that was happening already. Ken Rosenthal, the MLB and the union spoke this morning about the player protests. No conclusions were reached. Further talks expected this afternoon. Meanwhile, teams and individual players continue to discuss on their own whether to play tonight. Mookie Betts in the lineup for the Dodgers. So no hockey tonight. Elliot Friedman, players being told to prepare for cancellations tonight. Darren Drager, NHLPA is conducting a call shortly to discuss the growing sense players favor postponing tonight's games. Nothing official and more discussion required. The NHL should have final decision in an hour. But Pierre LeBrun said all signs pointing to possible postponement tonight. Sources says that's likely the outcome, but still not fully decided. Lots of conversations among players. So looks like hockey's going to cancel for tonight. I think there's going to be some baseball games that won't be played tonight either. There's some baseball teams just flat out have off days today too. So it's going to be interesting to see like what else gets postponed today and which sports. NBA probably back tomorrow, like I said earlier. NHL, we don't know. Baseball, it looks like there's going to be some games played, but we still really don't know about that. But we're going to assume that they are going to be played, then not. And now my best bet of the day, brought to you by DraftKings. I'm going to do my best bet like yesterday, assuming that games will be played. Tough call. There's a lot of double headers and whatnot. But a bet stood out to me as I was going through the card for baseball, and that is the over in tonight's Rangers Athletics game. I had that over the other day, and that hit. I'm going to go back to it. Big juice, though, minus 120. But I'm going to go with it. So over 9.5 for the Oakland Texas game, minus 120. I could have waited for 10 to get it, but I'm just going to get it at 9.5 because why not? All right, that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping whatever games are played and whatnot. And if NBA's back, we'll preview and pick those games. NASCAR, we'll pick those races. Any baseball trades that happen, I'll have for you on the show. Maybe I'll do a trade deadline predictions podcast tomorrow. And obviously we'll have a update for the BMW Championship as well. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.